Sound, speed, background action, action.
Joe DeStanislaw?
Shadeen Francis. So I am a twin. I'm a generational twin is what we like to call ourselves. My brother was born on my 5th birthday, and it was probably one of the worst days of my entire life. He and I are very close, so I say that with some humor. I wake up in the morning, and I was a pretty pragmatic kid. So my parents made the terrible mistake of asking me somewhere in the 2nd trimester whether I would want a brother or a sister. So of course I thought that meant I had an actual say in it, and I proceeded to spend the next 4 months interviewing literally everyone for what was a preferred experience, being a big sister to a younger sister or a brother, and I have the spreadsheets to prove it. And so I had this really elucidating conversation with some kids who were in my neighborhood earlier that day that pretty much definitively said, sisters are the way to go. And up until that point, I was teetering towards brothers, and I told my mother the same. And I ended up on punishment the day before my birthday because I kept waking my mom up when she was trying to sleep, because I desperately needed to tell her that I had changed my vote. Of course, overnight, my brother decides to crown, and she's whisked off to the hospital. So I wake up in the morning, it's my birthday, and I run downstairs to no parents. But my godfather's there, and he's one of my favorite people in the world, and everyone's being really secretive and quiet. We get in the car, we're whisked off to this big building. There's balloons all the way down the hallway, and I'm thinking, yes, epic surprise party for me. And I burst into the room, jazz hands it all. I'm here! Right? Because I'm entering, of course, my surprise party, and it's my whole family. And nobody cares. So I, of course, walk a little farther in the room, like, oh, let me try again. I straighten my dress, I clear my throat. I'm here! And everyone turns around and is cheering, and they usher me towards what I think is going to be the present table, and it's my mom. Which is fine, I love my mom. And she says to me, here is your baby brother. And I am hysterical. I'm on the floor, I'm screaming, I'm crying, send him back! Send him back, that's the wrong one! And I was on timeout for the rest of the day. And everyone walked by me and shook their head in disapproval, and I'm wearing my beautiful birthday dress. And everyone's gawking at this little thing with a stupid penis, and I'm thinking, it's the wrong one.
Great. Names, please.
Joe DeStanislaw.
Shadeen Francis.
When I'm not thinking about how miserable my life is, I always think about how lucky I am. I think I'm like the luckiest guy in the world. And here's one of the reasons. It was my normal practice on Saturday mornings to get up, listen to NPR, have some coffee, hop on my bike, and go out and do the Kelly Drive. That circuit that goes out Kelly Drive and then back Martin Luther King Drive out to the Falls Bridge. It's a beautiful early summer morning. So I get on my bike, filled up my water bottle, which normally I don't remember to do. I usually get out when I'm really thirsty and then hit the water bottle and uh-oh, drink. But anyway, so I get out on the Kelly Drive and I'm motoring, I get up to the art museum, and there's this gate to where I guess it's the King Drive? Yeah, the King Drive entrance is. And these 2 gates that meet together in the middle. Well, I'm daydreaming and I don't even realize, what the heck's going on, and I'm proceeding, at a pretty good clip. And I see this stunned look of this woman who looks like she's going to be seeing a train wreck. And she goes, ah! So I look dead ahead of me, and it's like a Warner Brothers cartoon. I see the gates, and I immediately lose my bike, and I grab onto one of the gates, and this gate swings open. And I'm like, oh my God, I could have been dead. I should have been completely dead. If somebody had locked that gate, the impact would have completely thrown me over, God knows what all else. So there, that's one of the why didn't I die? Joe DeStanislaw.
Shadeen Francis.
And changing places, please. And names.
Joe DeStanislaw.
Shadeen Francis.
And Joe continues.
So, once again, I'm going down memory lane. Several years ago, I was in a play in San Francisco. What was actually a traveling show, a traveling company, and one of the stops was in San Francisco. And it was probably 30 years ago? Anyway, sorry. And so I just done the show, and they were really after me to lose weight, and be a better dancer, and just stop, they, sometimes the powers that be just sort of like really ruin your buzz. So I'd had a tough day, got great notices, but anyway, for the particular San Francisco paper. But I was really pissed off, and I was thinking about like just abandoning the whole thing. So I walk into this bar and I'm playing pinball, having a great time. San Francisco is kind of like a lonely place. People are like really kind of snobbish. But anyway, so I'm having a good time playing my pinball, and I just happened to turn around, and there was this really bright light shining in the window, and this guy walks by and he goes, "Yo, Slough." And I couldn't see him. I mean, I just couldn't make him out at all. So I'm like, "I'm sorry, I can't see you. Who the fuck are you?" So he goes, "It's me, Soap, asshole." And it was one of my best friends from high school. I'm like, "What the heck are you doing here?" And he goes, "I live here, So we proceeded to like catch up for the intervening years that we hadn't seen one another. And he tells me, he's a CPA, he's in practice, and he just bought this house. And it's just like, he shows me pictures of the house. It's like this beautiful place. I'm like, wow, you really, really done well for yourself. So we remain in contact for years and years and years. He goes on to get his MBA law degree, and then he goes to this university in Paris and gets this PhD in some kind of weird taxation, like international tax law. And this guy's like way above my intellect. He was like, but for some reason, like, he still talks to me. So anyway, and we were always the ones that organized the class reunions, and it was just he and I that did it, and we really became really, really close friends. So we also got together every year for the Villanova Georgetown game, because several of us that went to this particular high school went to either one of those places. So we just saw one another this past game. Like, so you don't look too well. And he goes, "Well, I gotta tell you, I had this terrible, nasty infection in my leg. They haven't figured out what to do with it. And they're giving me the runaround. They're giving me this medication. It's not working. So, like, I call them, like, every week. And I just happened to be away in Hawaii, and I wasn't, like, checking anything. And I get this call from this other guy that I went to high school with. I'm like, what? So he told me that Soap had died. So I was completely mystified by the fact that you should never take anything for granted. Whenever you have that urge to make a phone call, then you should. Joe, just stand us off.
Shadeen Francis.
Shadeen?
So I got engaged in December. It's a fun adventure for me. My parents are treading very carefully. I was rebellious middle child and was very clear that marriage was uninteresting and children were equally so, but in a less fun way than marriage sounded. So everyone's like very worried that they're gonna say something, in too great of a support, and I'm just gonna blow the whole thing up, which feels very fun for me. It's very indulgent. And so it makes me reflect on when I met my partner We just celebrated actually on the 5th, our 7-year anniversary of sort of togetherness. And so I had this, really romanticized sort of memory of how it happened. The true story was that I went to the library to study. I don't typically study. My sort of philosophy is if I don't know it already, I'm probably not going to know it now. But just sort of went, mostly to be social. I was bored in my home during midterms at a pretty competitive school. I'm from Toronto, and so it was very high stakes. And so I'm, flipping through, and this person comes and sits next to me. I'm sort of in the computer bay, so I'm at a space that has no computer. And he's there on the computer, typing away. And I happen to glance up and realize that for the last 45 minutes, he's been playing competitive Tetris with someone whose name I actually recognize. And this is a very competitive school. Like, to give you some context, in the first year of my program, they allow sort of everyone to come in, and so there was like 1,900 kids enrolled, and they had to put the class online. In my graduating class, there was 33 of us. Right, so they just like hack away every year. So like those were the stakes. And this person is in the middle of exam season, literally playing Tetris. So I'm thinking, okay, either this person is like completely brilliant or a total burnout. So I'm completely, trying to like block that out, and I'm studying a little bit more. Another 45 minutes go by, and I look up, and he's still playing. I'm like, what is wrong with this person? But now the game is like super intense. So I realize like 20 minutes later that I've been watching, like just out of the corner right here. I'm like, just watching the whole game. So it's the final moments. I'm historically an athlete, so I'm like in. The way other people do, like other episodes of sports ball, right, like basketball or soccer, like I'm like in. And there's only one move that he could make that would ruin the whole thing. He had 5 seconds left to just hold it, and he would have won. And of course, in his arrogance, right, he starts speed dropping blocks, trying to rack up points. And I see a little smirk on the corner of his face, and he thinks he's got it, and he makes one really ballsy move. Blows the whole thing up and loses. Literally, he just had to run his time and loses. And so I'm so wrapped up in the game, right? This is an athletic sport for me now. And the thing that comes out of my mouth before I even notice it happened, I say, "Ew, you suck!" I haven't seen this person's face yet. And so his hand sort of comes down from the mouse, and he sort of backs up in his seat. He says, "What?" I'm like, oh shit, that was my outside voice. Like, I can't back down now, so I'm like, okay girl, ovaries up, like we're gonna go, here we go. And he slowly turns his head and said, "What did you say?" And I said, "Ew, you suck." And he looked me dead in the eyes and just let out a little chuckle, and 7 years later, right, we're going to do that for the rest of our lives.
Great. And names last time, please?
Joe DeStanislaw.
Shadeen Francis.
Great. Thank you.